Sex workers of Reddit. What is the funnest thing a client has ever asked you to do?
A guy used to pay me to watch me get professional massages. That's it. Nothing sexual. The masseuse would come to the house and the client would sit in the corner and watch. He wouldn't even touch himself. It was amazing. Best gig ever. I miss it sometimes. I have a guy who comes to my place, licks my toes for like 20 seconds, combs everywhere, and then immediately leaves. Easiest 50 I make, not me but a friend. She is a professional cuddler, 160.00 per hour, that has a man that pays her to come to his home office on Mondays while he makes his cold calls for the week. She sits behind him and holds him all cuddly like the whole hour. She comes every week and his sales have gone through the roof. He told her he used to dread this part of the job and was full of anxiety before she started coming. A girl I knew in college briefly did Craigslist personals for extra cash. Said she had one guy that had her come over and just play video games with him all night. Super sweet guy apparently, even decently attractive. She always wondered why he couldn't just get a girlfriend. Absolutely nothing sexual. They just plays box, smoke weed, order pizza, and she got paid for it. My guess was that he was in a relationship that ended and he just wanted some company. Maybe him and his ex would play video games together and he just missed the companionship. Which I totally get. After my last big breakup, I really wasn't looking for sex or a girlfriend at all. I'd have much rather just had someone hang out with me and make me forget I was sad for a little while. Stripped through unit. I had one customer who found out I did martial arts and he booked the VIP room just so we could wrestle BJJ style. I had another regular who had a tickle fetish, we all called him Elmo, and Elmo would book 3 girls for an hour, take a 10 or so minute break, and do it all again 3 or 4 times. You got to take your click-clacks off, put your comfy shirt on over your lingerie, and tickle him. That was it. Elmo was the best and easiest money I'd ever made. My roommate is an escort. She once had a guy pay her to pretend to rub pink insulation on her and say "I'm so itchy" while the guy jerked off. There is an older lady in our congregation who did cage dancing and all sorts of other interesting jobs for money back in the 60s and 70s. Her funniest story about her previous line of work was about people who had diaper fetishes. She said they would often just ask her to put adult-sized diapers on and roll around and act like a baby. One of the guys was the owner of one of the banks in the city. She said she just started laughing when she saw him and couldn't stop and had to leave if he was there. I work at a night bar as a stripper. A customer booked me for a private room, and while I was getting near him, he asked me timidly if he could slap my forehead. At first, I was surprised, but since it is the forehead, I decided to forget the no-touch rule. Strangest night of my life. I'm not a sex worker, but one friend I had she had a web show and someone just wanted her to grate cheese. She grated cheese for like 45 minutes at it. She took breaks as her boyfriend had to buy more cheese. The total time on cam was likely double or triple the cheese grating time. She went through a massive amount of cheese. I don't remember how many, but the cheese took up all the room in the fridge, or so her boyfriend said. We feel out of contact in my early 20s, but she encouraged me to become a male cam model around 18-19s. As I was different and the lack of alternative male models left a massive vacuum and I could have cleaned up. I never followed through. At first I thought this said funniest, and I was about to prepare a whole different couple stories. Most fun I would say was a client who would book me to play strip boardrooms with him. I'm a huge nerd, so I had a blast being paid big bucks to spend an hour playing a game. I also had a fetish client who wanted me to waterboard him in my toilet. I thought I'd be skeeved out by it, but it was actually really fun. Generally, I was never into dome stuff in a kinky way, but I always got a kick out of it. I had one client who came just from being whipped, and I didn't have to do anything but that. I always enjoyed seeing him, better than therapy. All of my work friends who have had clients who are into sploshing say it's the most fun type of session, but I've never gotten the chance to see for myself. I did a sploshing session once where my co-dome slammed the client's head into a cake and then made him smear the cake all over my naked body. Then he fucked me with a strap on, his dick tucked away. I got to electrocute him with a violet wand and kick him in the balls a few times while he hoovered up the cake crumbs on his hands and knees whilst snorting like a pig wearing a maid outfit. Easy $1,000. Sometimes I miss that work. Sploshing booking. I ground a sponge cake into this guy's face with my ass while pouring custard on his dick and jerking him off before doing body slides with custard all over us. Neither of us could stand on the tiled floor afterwards because we'd covered it with so much slippery food. I used to have a regular who paid me to clean my home which I worked out of twice a week, dressed in a maid outfit. No interaction, no nothing. Interacting with him in any way fucked with his vibe. He had this whole ongoing headcanon about what I did with my other clients, based on how furniture, toys and objects had moved, the laundry in my baskets and so on and so forth, and that was what he wanted to jerk it to in the privacy of his own home. Had a guy who once just asked me to roll around on the ground and make link noises for a minute on video. That was fun. Had another guy who asked for a 30-minute video of me just eating gummy bears. Not topless or anything. My favorite was my deal with the local pizza guy. I'd send him X amount of nudes and he'd give me free pizza. Had to cut him out though when he tried to pursue a relationship. Lol. Had a friend who was a cam girl in college. She'd tell me stories all the time. My favorite was the one where she was taken private and got to brutally insult this dude's micro penis. And boy do I mean micro. Thing was maybe 2 inches fully erect. She sent me pictures so I could also make fun of him. I didn't because it gave me secondhand disappointment. I am a cop and one time during a bust I had to do all the paperwork for the working girls and I asked something similar to one girl I was familiar with. She gave me 2 instances that stood out. First was a fairly wealthy guy who had the girl go into a pet store and buy 3 goldfish. His request was for her to take each goldfish out of the bag, one by one, and feed it to him live, but only after she rubbed it all over her breasts. Second was this older guy would pick her up. She was then supposed to exit the car and he would chase her around it. After a short chase she was to turn and grab him. He would lay down on the ground and open a clear umbrella and she was to squat over it and pee. Both scenarios paid between $200 to $500 and I 100% believe she was telling the truth during our conversation. Oh, alright. Well, first, I want you to tongue my bung while you juggle my balls in one hand and play with my asshole with the other, but don't stick your finger in. Then I want to pinky you while I stick in your fucking friend's brown while Silent Bob watches and fucking spanks it in a Dixie cup. After that, I want to smell your titties for a while and you can pull my nutsack up over my dick so it looks like a bullfrog. Then I want you to fucking flick my nuts while your friend spanks me off in the same Dixie cup that Silent Bob jizzed in. Then, we throw the Dixie cup out. J, a poet on his own. My girlfriend used to use the app Fiverr for some extra cash. She had one guy ask her for just a video of her in a kitchen and for her to slip on a banana. He offered her like 20 pounds. Another asked for a video of her to gunge herself. I had a client who paid for 2HS $350 per hour just to dance for him, no stripping, no sexy dance. Just goofy silly dance. He didn't even touch himself or anything, just stared blankly. Well, it's not super weird, but the funniest thing I've ever been asked is a weird ass story. At the time I'd been taking a break from sex work and I randomly got a Snapchat message out of nowhere. None of my friends know this guy and I have no clue how he got my Snapchat. He messaged me and I said I had a super cute nose and I was obsessed with it, and to which I replied thank you. And he then asked how much snot was inside and eventually asked me for videos of me blowing snot out of my nose. No tissue. Just my hands. Until every drop of it was gone. Second easiest $60.70 I've ever made. Thank you for watching. Like +1 attraction, subscribe +1 to health.